Hello, my name's Ruby Burrito and welcome to today's video. I have been making videos for actually getting close to a year now, and so I've done a lot of a lot of news stuff. So like I do Black Lion update videos on Tuesdays. I've done some guides and things like that. I've done some coverage of the updates and everything, but I have noticed that there's quite a few new players in the game. Whether it's people in my YouTube comments coming and saying, hey, I just started, or people popping into the streams that I do on Mondays. I really want to see if I can provide a little bit of help to people who are just starting the game. So this video right here is going to be 5 tips that are for players who are literally just starting like today. They may be helpful if you've got some experience, but I will be taking a look at more experienced players a little bit later down the road, but this one I want to focus on first saying welcome. I love getting to see new players in, and as you can see, this actually is a pretty young character. I do have multiple accounts. I've made a video about that in the past before the daily update change. I haven't been logging in on them as much since I finished all the Gen 1 legendaries, but I thought I'd go on an account that has expansions and talk about some of the tips that I have. So first things first, I know people are going to ask what expansion they should get. So first off, you can see here it's telling me that I should get Secrets of the Obscure. And there's nothing wrong with getting Secrets of the Obscure. They tell you this. They've had these pop-ups for all sorts of releases. So End of Dragons, Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, always have these pop-ups if you don't have the expansion. Typically don't see these on my main account because I have all the expansions, but if I go to my hero panel here, which is hotkey H, I can see if I go to Heart of Thorns and I click on the first chapter, the episode will become playable at level 80, and if I go to Path of Fire, I also have that available. How I can see I don't have End of Dragons is this says requires Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons. So there's 4 expansions now in the game, but there's really only 3 options of purchasing. So the base game is free. So all of this right here, well, you can't really see that right now because I don't have this character leveled enough to do that and played through. This is Maguma. This is where Heart of Thorns is. Down here is a Crystal Desert. That's going to be Path of Fire. Cantha is down here, and then Path of the Obscure is, Secrets of the Obscure is up here, not Path of Fire. This little map here gives you an easy way to go through. But the core Tyrian maps, Kryta, this is included. This is Brisbane Wildlands. You have the Tarnished Coast here, all the way over. All of these maps right here, not this one, but all of these maps and all of these maps. There's, I believe the number is 26. I think that's the number that I had when I was doing map completion. There's quite a few maps. That might include the 5 capital cities, 6 if you include Lion's Arch, but that's all free. You get to go through the My Story. You'll have that information when you create your character, and then you're gonna have 3 options. I can actually bring this over right now. So we have 3 options here. We have, as I said, this is free. You have Path of Fire and Heart of Thorns, so you get 2 expansions in one for $30 US. End of Dragons, which is the 3rd expansion for $30 US, and Secrets of the Obscure. This is the newest one for $25. Now, I can't lie, I'm gonna suggest getting Secrets of the Obscure. 1, it's the cheapest option, and my understanding is once you have I believe it's Secrets of the Obscure, which gives you access to a flying mount, and it's the most used flying mount. But you also get access to the Raptor, and it's the current content. So you'll be up to date with at least what's going on right now. And to be honest, it has some ties to previous content, but not a whole ton. You can play it without playing the other expansions at the end of the day. Other than that, as much as I love End of Dragons, I would say if you are wary of jumping into the newest content and you want to start from the beginning, buying Path of Fire and Heart of Thorns is not a bad idea. You're getting 2 expansions, which is a ton of content for $30 US. That's cheaper than any any game that's coming out right now. And to be honest, this is hundreds of hours worth of content. You get 2 sets of specializations, which is new ways to play each of the professions, and 2 full sets of content. So the first question, the first tip is my number 1 suggestion for which expansion to buy is going to be Secrets of the Obscure. And from there, I would go straight to Path of Fire and Heart of Thorns, because it's really hard to argue against the value that you get for each of those. End of Dragons is great. Absolutely pick that up when you get to it. The Jade Bot that you get from that, that's one of the big selling points. There's, of course, other ones, but the Jade Bot is very helpful. But I would say that gliding from Heart of Thorns, all of the mounts from Path of Fire, and the ability to get the sky scale directly from Secrets of the Obscure instead of Living World Season 4. To be honest, that's the other big reason why I would say Secrets of the Obscure. The flying mount, the sky scale, is my most used mount by far. Yeah, so number 1, I would say Secrets of the Obscure, and then from there, I would say the Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire bundle. Now, 2, when you have an expansion, you're going to see 5 character slots. I have 2 characters here. You can see I have Ruby 1 and Ruby Burrito Home. These were characters that are basically login characters for me so that I could get the daily rewards. So now if I go to the character select, number 2, my number 2 tip, first thing you see here is all the races. They're kind of silhouettes. They look really cool, and it hasn't changed much since launch. But you have Char, Human, Norn, Asura, and Sylvari. I'm going to double click on each of these, and I'm going to go to male because most of my characters are male, just to kind of give an idea of what each of these races is going to look like. The Char is going to be a feline, kind of humanoid feline creature that it walks on 2 feet, but it also runs on 4. And then they have some really cool audio features, which in the way that they snarl and the way that their voice works, it's very well done. Humans are pretty standard. Norn are my favorite for sure. They're just giant humans in aesthetic, but the lore behind them is very fantastic. The Asura are going to be the smallest characters you can create. They're mouse-like to a degree, and they're underground dwelling creatures. And then Sylvari is the youngest race. They are plants. Easiest way to put it. Really like these guys too. There's some really good story involved with these when you play through everything. Yeah, I'm gonna make a human because that's the classic here. So tip 1 for the race, all that happens with the race is aesthetic. You're gonna notice that there are racial skills, but in the end game they don't matter too much. So tip number 2 is just pick the race that looks the coolest to you. Tip number 3 is going to be when it comes to professions. I have a profession that I play the most. I have a profession that I've historically played the most. What I like is not going to be what you like. So if you're coming from a different MMO, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, warriors are warriors, rangers, hunters, that kind of deal. Necromancer, that's pretty straightforward. Elementalist, the 4 elements. Mesmer is clones. Engineer is technology. Guardians, if you're like a paladin fan or anything like that, that's kind of like a holy warrior kind of deal. Very fun. And then revenants are kind of more of a mystical warrior type deal. They still are the heavy class, so this is broken into classes: heavy, medium, and light armor. So they will be set apart by the aesthetic type of armor you could get. And yeah, this is the newest one that was added to the game. This was added with Heart of Thorns. Very fun. My main Ruby Burrito character is a Revenant. So in honor of the first human character I ever created, I'm going to go with a Guardian. My favorite profession is going to be Necromancer. They're very fun to play. There's different reasons why you play all of these. So tip number 3 is going to be pick one and try it. You're going to have very few skills. I would look at videos. They have a small blurb here. All of these are able to do ranged, but they excel in the melee. Guardians are very good at supports and are almost always meta. Warriors are the Undying, and Revenants do a lot of damage. Engineers right now can be both support and damage. And the Mechanist from End of Dragons is fantastic, but and pretty fun. But Thieves, damage. They did add a support version, but almost everything to do with the Thief is damage. Rangers have pets, use bows. Mesmers make clones, which are very fun to play with. Necromancers have undead minions, and Elementalists can switch between a lot more weapon skills than everything else. So try to go with something that has a theme that you enjoy, because if you enjoy the theme, like Undeath with Necromancer, or just be big, strong, beefy with a warrior, you're probably going to like that profession. So they have quite a bit of options here for changing your character. These here are going to change your personal story. This doesn't matter anymore. It used to, but it doesn't. Sorry, this is the first skin that you get. This is going to be, doesn't really matter. These change your personal story. Each one of these that you pick gives you a different it's going to be a different story chapter that you can do. And so when you first load in, you're going to get to, in this case for humans, it's the Defense of Shaymore. I'm not going to play through this right now because I don't have any tips specifically for the starting zone. But once you get out of it, you're going to have the whole of Tyria at your disposal. And it's going to be pretty intimidating because there's a ton to do. If you're a human, you're going to end up in Shaymore, which I will take myself to. This character, I already finished the intro little mission, and that is one thing to note. There's an intro mission, but that's not actually the open world. Once you get to this point, this is the open world. This is beautiful Queensdale, and you can see Divinity's Reach there. That's the human capital, and you can go out everywhere. And this is going to be tip number 4. So this is a tool tip right here that says, speak to the scout to reveal renown hearts. I have my dialogue all the way down, so you're not going to be able to hear this person speak, but they actually voice over this in the background. This is telling you where there's content. It kind of unfogs the area, and it goes between each of the hearts. Guild Wars 2 does not have quests, they have hearts and dynamic events. So hearts is kind of just a grouping of things to do in an area to help progress a progress bar, and then events are things that can happen anytime, anywhere. Hearts in core Tyria are a one-time completion. So tip number 4 is going to be to take a look at this and just go have fun. Don't worry about trying to get to level 80 as fast as possible. I have 2 skills. 2 is a leap. I can mouse over it and it tells me what it does. If I get into combat, you'll see, so it says that I have 3 different, that's funny, because this is from before, the daily change. You can see that it changes here, so I need to find something to fight, and if I go to interact with this worm mound, once I hit it, this is going to change. It changes the icon, and it goes through the different things. So tip 4 is going to be, it took me to this Renown Heart, and now this tells me all the things that I can do here. Tip number 5. Once you've started having fun, you're going to want to play with your keybinds. So I actually have my keybinds changed a little bit on this account because they changed the way that they set up the movement by default. I believe they have A and D as strafe left and strafe right. You can double click and change this. I'm going to just verify. Yeah, so I believe that they have these as strafe by default now. So I would go and see if there's any suggestions for how to set up your keybinds. I have an MMO mouse, so I don't have these bound to anything, but my mouse has these right here, and then any of the options up here. Through the core Tyrian story, you don't really need to worry about builds or anything, so it's more important, I think, to be able to, so for me, I'm right-clicking and moving around, but I'm able to continue running the direction that I want because I have all of my keybinds set up a specific way. So yeah, tip 5, just get comfortable with moving around, jumping, and getting familiar with the way that this game feels, because the combat is very dynamic. You dodge, you leap, you need to be aware of where everything is at all times. So I'll show, like, so this yellow means that it's not gonna auto attack me, red means it will, which as you continue to explore, you will find things that are red. And that, there you go, there's red, and now this one is aggro to me. So these are very basic tips, I think, for me, because they're things that I don't really think about. They don't really apply to me anymore. But I think they're important to consider, because for me, I've done these hearts so many times. I mean, I've done so many map completions, so I already know how to complete all of these hearts. But getting comfortable with looking at the tooltips, your mini map, you can see that this cone is the direction that you're facing, and your kind of your area of view, and this pointer is where you go. This doesn't rotate with you, so it's not up is not the direction you're facing, it's north. The same direction as north on this map. And you can also double click on a waypoint right here, and you'll waypoint to that waypoint. So I can do the same with this one. You don't have to go to the world map to waypoint, you can waypoint via the minimap. So there's little things like that to get comfortable with. Understand, like, F is your interact, or do you prefer R? For me, R is auto run. So that's going to finish up tip 5. So just as a recap, if you're going to go and buy an expansion, I would suggest first Secrets of the Obscure, and then second Heart of Thorns Path of Fire bundle. That's number 1. Tip number 1. Tip number 2, your race is all based on aesthetic. So just pick whatever you think looks the coolest. I love the Char. I love the Norn. Humans, a lot of people love playing humans because it's kind of what, I mean, it's a way to escape and feel more connected to your character. So just pick whatever aesthetically looks the best to you. Tip number 3 is your profession. See what the blurbs are and kind of what the feel of that profession is, because there's so many different ways to play each profession. If you like the feel or the kind of like the flavor of that profession, playing with the 4 elements with an elementalist, you're gonna enjoy playing that profession. You'll find a build that you enjoy playing. That's tip number 3. Tip number 4 is going to be with the tooltips up here. It's going to be, you can see it points me in the direction of where is content to play, and it's half that, and the other half is don't worry about like achieving a specific goal other than just trying to get around and play and do the things that it suggests here. And you don't have to do this one. If I get closer to a different heart, it might tell me to go to that heart. If I run in this direction, instead of telling me to go to this heart, it'll tell me to go to that heart. And a lot of the times, for example, I can go to, this is the Char main city, the Char capital city. This is the Char starting area. I can go here if I want to instead. You can see, you can do a different race's starting area if you don't want to. So there's options. And yeah, you can see here, it tells me to, it said this, but as I get further away, that's a really long extending area. As you get further away and closer to this one, it did tell me that I should do this one. Yeah, so there you go. Help Fisher Travis. And then tip 5 is going to be just get comfortable with the keybinds, the options. As you progress, you'll get more weapon skills and skills here, utility skills they're called, and just get comfortable with being able to press all the buttons and how to play, really. I know that's a lot of information. I know this, again, is really going to be mostly helpful for people who are first starting and may feel overwhelmed with all the decisions and the character creation and everything. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know down below in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, or if you enjoyed any of the other ones and you haven't yet, the biggest way to help me out is to subscribe down below. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for hanging out, and we'll see you in the next one.